I cared way too much about how I looked. I remember when I was just in middle school or even high school, I was so insecure just about how I viewed myself and just how I looked to other people. My self image about myself, even though if I looked confident on the outside to certain people, my self worth was so low that I couldn't even talk to girls and I couldn't really talk to a lot of people because of my social awkwardness and my social anxiety, which would always show whenever people approached me or if I was in a group and I had to make conversation. I couldn't talk to people because of this image I carried about myself. And even with my weight, I was so insecure about that. I felt so fucking ashamed just to not look a certain way. Now, bro, when I say that I was insecure about how I looked, I didn't necessarily think that I was an ugly person. But at the same time, I felt like I was just ashamed of being me. I felt ashamed of sticking out because I didn't want to I didn't want to necessarily be seen because I felt like if I was to be seen, I might be rejected. So I always put on this mask and I always cared about how I looked, how I was to looking to other people, and was just so afraid to open up, especially to women, because I just didn't want to face that rejection even with the crushes who I crushed on. And the thing is, bro, how you look at yourself shows. And this is something I wish I knew when I was growing up because I didn't really understand that concept. I was more so just so in my head all the time about how I was looking at other people. I was just focused on my own thoughts about me and feeling like I was shit, believing that others might be viewing me in the certain way I was viewing myself. Even my looks wise, when it came to women, and that self image of myself, the identity, the projection I put out there, which because of my beliefs destroyed my self confidence, my self image about myself, because I carried this negative viewpoint toward myself. And if you're someone in that position right now who is caring too much about how they look to other people or how they view themselves, especially if they don't think they're attractive to other people necessarily with their looks features. I want you to realize this one thing, bro, that I never thought about, which I would have killed to literally have this mindset, this information when I was younger, is that looks and attractiveness literally change within generations. It doesn't matter how you look. Now, it does matter in the sense how you present yourself, but at the same time, it doesn't matter how you look. Attractiveness or what people think is attractive or sexy or whatever changes within generations. If you think back to models or celebrities or people in the past, you can tell how it's changed over time. Like Marilyn Monroe, what today might be, like maybe Kim Kardashian or something today versus back then, which is Marilyn Monroe, and how you really fix this viewpoint instead of hating yourself, bro, instead of thinking of yourself not good enough because you might look a certain way, and if you don't think you're good looking because you're not attractive or you have bad habits, so you're not worthy enough for a relationship or anything like that, is you have to realize this one thing. And if you have your identity, your mindset to how you look, especially if your self-worth is tied to it, you might be fucked, bro, because you're basically saying my identity, my self-worth is tied to how I look and how I view myself and how others view me. The thing is, if you're doing that, which I wish I knew, is you're looking for validation to be accepted, to be approved of. And for me back then, I was looking for that validation because I cared about how I looked, and truthfully, I wanted to be accepted. I wanted to hear as if someone was saying that, wow, you look good, man, you're good enough. But I was so afraid to open up, I was so afraid to be accepted and be me and just be fine in my own skin that I viewed myself as not great because of how I might have looked within myself or even the habits I may have carried, which were not good habits at all. And in the description below, I'll put a link to a video for a video that ties to what I'm talking about with how I looked at myself. And you can't be caught up on your attractive level just based off your looks. You have to change your mindset about you. And that doesn't mean if you don't feel great about yourself, like let's say you are unhealthy, that doesn't mean you can't change yourself to be healthy. It means to accept yourself for what you are right now, to be more comfortable in your own skin, to love yourself. Even if you think you look this way, even if you are this way, if your habits aren't great, you can always change your habits, but you have to be accepting of you. Start being present in your mind whenever you're thinking thoughts about yourself. self doubt or just this identity of how you look and how you might be thinking others are viewing you or how you're viewing yourself. Just take that moment in silence whenever you hear that thought, is to just observe it instead of feeling dog shit about yourself. Is to listen to this self doubt about yourself, this negative belief about yourself, and how you think others are viewing you. And just hear what that thought is saying. And then ask yourself, where has this thought originated from? When did you start thinking this way toward yourself? And you have to realize that what you're thinking about it is not true. And it's something you probably picked up along the way. So if you want to truly change yourself, start seeing the thoughts of what they are, for what you're saying to yourself on a daily, and change and rewire that mindset. By capturing thoughts that you think on a daily toward yourself, how you think others are viewing you, and realize this is the story that we are telling ourselves. And that this story, this identity that we're putting ourselves in, is really just this prison that we are putting ourselves in. And this prison is this belief system that we believe to be true when it's not really true at all. So free yourself from those thoughts. Free yourself from that identity of how you look, of how you believe things are when it's most likely not true. And to fix it is you have to be confident within your own skin. You have to accept yourself for you. You have to let go of these things. Because real attractiveness, it's not about how you look. It's how you carry yourself and how you present yourself. Some people might be wondering, like, that might not be true. But if you think there's some people in the world who would be deemed in society's sense as not as attractive, yet they might pull the best people. It's because they have the best charisma, the best confidence within their self, because they love who they are. And that's what you guys should be doing if you are lacking this self-worth toward yourself. And this is literally something I wish I knew when I was younger. But I was so caught up in that prison of this belief toward myself that I wasn't good enough because I had to look a certain way, I had to act a certain way, behave a certain way, and my habits weren't good, which also affected my self-confidence, which I always pushed out relationships because I didn't want them to see that side of me. So change that mindset today. Change the habits, change your belief systems, and get out of that prison that you are keeping yourself in. It is not helping you at all, especially if you're trying to attract maybe a love in your life. Stop doubting yourself. Stop thinking yourself a certain way. Stop thinking you're broken or you're stuck in this identity of how you look or how you view yourself.